Is Heather Gay ever going to tell us who gave her that black eye? And there's a correlation with another housewife from another franchise who had a similar situation, except she kept hers under wraps. Let's get into it. Give it all away. Okay, so if you've been watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we do have a new episode tonight. Thank God. I mean, I don't know if it's thank God because I really ultimately do not think that we will actually get an answer as to who did this to Heather. And I just read from the after show, I believe it was Reality Blurb, where Heather is basically saying she really didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want it to be, the center of attention, and she didn't want it to kind of take over this trip in San Diego because it was already turning into such a tumultuous trip that she didn't want to add to it. So that's nice and all, Heather, but quite honestly, guys, I'm not buying it. I really think that there was a tactic to try to drive drama and viewership. Because obviously in the trailer, when we see her take her glasses off and we see Meredith's reaction to the black eye, it's like, there's a story here for sure. And we all wanted to know. We still do. And there's a couple of fan theories. I think I've given my theory. I do think that Jen Shah had something to do with it. I don't think it was on purpose or malicious, but I do think she had something to do with it. Her state and her behavior while Heather is discussing this black eye, or not discussing it rather, is kind of telling because she's sitting there quiet. She's got very odd body language when it comes up. So that's my theory. There's other theories that say maybe this was a poorly done injection of some sort. Maybe some Botox was administered and maybe they hit the wrong part of the eye. I mean, that could also be very well true. But, when Heather brings something out like that, and it's not just a little bruise, it's like a full-on black eye, it's swollen and all, to then say she's not going to talk about it is odd, because in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, if she didn't want to talk about it, why did you take your sunglasses off? Why did you expose the black eye to everyone? If you really didn't want to talk about this, you could have pulled the ladies aside and said, listen, I don't want to talk about what really happened here. Maybe it's an embarrassing story, or I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with Jen. She's protecting. Either way, if you didn't want it brought up, well, you could have just not brought it up and people wouldn't be digging into it. But that's why I feel like this is kind of a ploy to get ratings and viewership. And this is not the way to do it, Salt Lake. I know we have a lot of stuff going on with Salt Lake City, with Jen Shah and all that, but we don't need these like petty, dragged out situations that we're probably never going to get a real answer to. But saying all that, this really did remind me of a situation on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I believe it was season 3, I want to say. Or maybe it was season 2. It could have been season 2. Nonetheless, there's an episode where there's a few scenes where Taylor is talking to Dana Wilkie, and then she's having like a group get together where she's explaining to the other ladies where she's at in her life at that moment, since her and Russell are like not a thing anymore, and it's done with. There was clearly a black eye that she was covering. In the one scene, she's talking to Dana in her house, and it's very clear that they had sweeped her bang over. They did an extra heavy smoky eye just to kind of deflect from it. But you could still tell that there was something off, and that it was clear that she had a black eye. It was still swollen. There was still some So my point is, in saying that, they're not directly connected, obviously. But my point in that is to say, if Heather really didn't want anybody to ask about this. She could have done things to deflect from it being talked about, but she brought it up first. So, I'm not sure what the state of the show is going to be after the season is wrapped. Again, they did film the reunion without Jen. Jen will be sentenced this Friday, and it's looking like she's going to get at least 10 years. So the show is going to need to be revamped either way. I just feel like I'm not sure if it's the producers or it's the cast that is kind of taking too much charge of the storylines, and it's coming off blatantly overproduced. Like some things you can just tell it was a put on. And I don't really care for that. And we're in a stage of reality TV, and specifically anybody who's Housewives fans, we are very seasoned and we can pick up on stuff like a pre-produced moment or something that just clearly didn't fit there and it was just forced into the episode or the season to try to drive ratings and, people like me to talk about it. And so that's why it's disappointing that they're going in this direction. So if tonight we do not get anywhere near finding out where Heather got this black eye from, I think I'm going to need to take a serious break from Salt Lake City after this until I see that they've kind of figured it out. Because honestly, guys, I don't know about you, but I really do enjoy the cast, most of them. And I think they each individually would be great housewives. I just don't know. I don't know. The storylines are just getting a little too wackadoodle for me. But maybe it's just an off season. It's still early for this franchise. So I'm trying to give it time to kind of settle in and, be great. I do see the potential. I do see the opportunity where this could be a really fantastic franchise. It has all of the elements. And no, Jen Shaw is not a big part of that element. I really feel like that Jen Shaw could be replaced. There's a lot of fun, outgoing characters that actually do have money, who aren't scamming people to get the lifestyle. So yes, I do think that we need to revamp some of the cast, not all of them, but I think we just need to rework what we're doing with this show. But like I said, we do have a new episode of Salt Lake City tonight, so you'll need to stay tuned. I am not holding my breath for any answers. However, I will watch and I will keep you updated as always. But until the next video, guys, I will talk to you next time. Bye.